All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is E is the Master of Divide and Conquer. And pretty much this lesson came to inspiration from a video I was watching earlier. The priest, Zakar from the New York camp. Salakia, this is his page here, GMS until the elect is sealed. And he put the title, Your Defamation Campaign Will Not End for You, E. I'm not sure if he meant to say will not end well for you, E. But it won't. And pretty much he was speaking about how, this America has pretty much got, people focusing. I'm just, merely trying to put it together the best way I can remember. Pretty much has the average American looking at these migrants, in a bad light because they're pretty much getting the people's minds off of the real problem, which is the government and those behind the government, and putting it somewhere else, diverting the attention somewhere else. And that would be on these migrants, like that whole lie about Haitians eating cats and eating, people's cats and all this stuff. And he was making some solid points in his lesson because he was saying that here it is, you got these so-called Haitian migrants coming here, giving hundreds of dollars for food and shelter and all that, but they're gonna go around just eating people's cats, So that's a divide and conquer tactic. And pretty much what Esau is doing is putting putting that divide back, that separation back between the nations. Like in the movie Civil War, right? When you had the part where you had the American troop, and he was asking them, "What are y'all?" And they said, "Americans." He said, "What type of American?" Because there's a distinction. Esau makes a distinction. Now here it is. He's on stolen land. He's talking about this is his land, and then he's asking people that are here, what type of American are you? Because you don't really belong here. And the ones that didn't give him the right answer, they got taken out. If he wasn't, like a so-called white person from Missouri or from different areas, they were just taking you out. And that goes into civil war that's going to go down in this country, your class wars, your race wars, and different wars that these devils are pushing out there through their propaganda, and that's exactly what it is. It's propaganda that they're using to push this out there, and right now, we're getting closer and closer to these so-called elections, this shit show, and pretty much they got Diddy back out in the news, and he's being he's locked up, and and they're about to sentence or whatever they're about to do, and then this guy Jay-Z and this guy and this other rapper and this other entertainment, they're all going for the fall because that's all a part of the bread and circuses. That's all a part of that's all a part of the diversion, and that's what they're doing, using a diversion so that they can take the people's focus off of the real issues and put it on something else, and that's what they do. At the same time, pushing, the so-called average American, to critique and look bad at these migrants coming here, so that there can be that constant separation. Because people are already in the uproar, and all they got to hear is one more thing, and they just snap. And that's why you're going to have these Second Ezra 15 and Second Ezra 16 moments in this country, which is quickly heading in that direction. All right, so I'm going to start off there, see where the Spirit takes us. Start off here because this is a very good chapter. But before we get there, you know what? Let's go real quick to Second Ezra 9 first, and then we'll just build from there. Second Ezra chapter 9. Yeah, there's this old video circulating around of when Vocab and his goons came to the main camp where we were speaking at, led by the head vampire in charge, Abu Kamar, which he's a coward. He stays in the shadows. But he directed them there because he lives around that area. He's in one of those dungeons in the monastery in one of those areas around there. So he led them to where we were at, and they had this one because they never put the whole video out. We put the whole video out because it was live. We didn't take nothing out. We didn't edit anything. What they did was they picked and choose parts of what they wanted to put out, and they didn't put the whole video out. But there's this one video that they have out. I sent it to Elder Pastor called "Heated." Sam Shamoon destroys. Let me see. Heated. Sam Shamoon destroys Hebrew Israelite leaders face to face, which is total bullshit. This was just recently put out, but this goes back years. I think this goes back at least a good 3-4 years or so. They never put the video out, and it's like everything that they were saying, we were cutting it in the spirit, and then they're saying that they're destroying us or Hebrew hopscotch, and they're diverting shit. And that dude Sam Shamoon is a demon, because he, the apostle Gabar brought out the scripture in Leviticus the 12th chapter about the woman conceiving seed, right? To make a point that when a woman had either a male child or a female child, they would be unclean for a certain period of time, depending on if it was either male or female. And he was going there to make that point, and he kept saying, "Well, conceive. What do you mean conceive? Women don't conceive seed." He was playing semantics, right? And then eventually, Elder Pastor stepped in and said, "Well, look, what does it mean? What does that scripture mean?" He said, when a woman gets pregnant, and I said, I yelled at the phone. I said, "You fucking asshole! How the fuck does a woman get pregnant? By sperm, you dickhead!" And I was just screaming at the phone, And I was gonna do a lesson on it, but I said, we already dealt with that, But if the spirit hits me, I'll go back over it. And Elder Pascal was making a point that when a woman has, children, they become unclean for a certain period of time, and they have to go through a law of purification. Mary had to go through their law of purification. Why? Because Mary got pregnant by Joseph. That was a union of the Holy Spirit, that the Lord spoke about. Yahushua's line came through the sacred line of King David through his father Joseph, his biological father Joseph, And, so, we've gone over that topic over and over and over and over and over again. Nevertheless, they don't want to hear it, whether because they know to a certain degree what's going on, but some of them are just bugged out like that, and some of them are just agents, like the Fed Vocab, which I don't know why they would pay him. He's not that bright, I could see other people, but not him. He ain't that bright. Anyways, and like Elder Apostle Tar said, when I was back up top at that park doing that live, him and Abu Kamar both, bombarded my comment board, asking for, begging for a debate, and then Vocab kids say, "Come back to Jesus, come back to Jesus." I said, man, I saw Satan on him through his writing, through the comments that he was putting. I saw Satan all on that devil. Talking about come back to Jesus. Man, you trying to put Jake back in captivity. Anyways, let's read on. 2 Ezra chapter 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, "Measure out the time diligently in itself." And there's a reason why the scriptures say to measure the time. Why? Because everything is predicated upon prophecy. And prophecy is, empowered in time. All right. There's a certain when the Lord gives a prophecy, there's a certain period of time that passes by that prophecy remains dormant until the time when the Lord said, okay, this is the time now. Boom. And then what you see is the manifestation of the words written in the scriptures coming to pass, because it was that time for this particular prophecy to come to pass. And now we're at the point now where prophecies are starting to pop off the pages of the book like popcorn. All right. It says, and when thou seest, see, when you see, because remember, it says that there's going to be a point of time where the prophecies are not going to be speaking. They're going to be like in a dormant state. That's why the apostle, about to say the apostle Habakkuk, the prophet Habakkuk said, oh Lord, revive thy works, in the midst of years, or something along those lines. Because why? The prophecies, once they're spoken, they remain dormant until the time period where they're supposed to be fulfilled. And when the time, when the hour ticks at that moment, or the second ticks at that very second, when that prophecy is to be fulfilled, then that prophecy starts to speak. And that is the sign. Oh, that's what this meant when the prophet so and so said this and this and that and the other. All right. And that's how you measure the prophecies, or measure the times. It says, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before. Why? Because the Lord tells his prophets things that are going to happen before they happen. That's what the word prophet means. Pro before, fet is to say. Fes. Prophesy, or prophet, to say before. It's a prediction. To say something, like the word prediction, pre is before, and diction is word. The word before, or what's going to happen in the future. Then shalt thou understand. Why? Because you're reading something in the scriptures that is a prophecy. Prophecies are written in metaphors. They're written in subliminals. They're written signs and mysteries. So when you read it, you have no clue or understanding what it is. But then when you start seeing the signs of it and the things that are spoken of in the prophecy happening on the world stage, then you start to understand, oh, that's what this means. Like, for instance, the MOTB. Never in history has there been a technology like there is today, to where the whole world is being set on a trajectory, to use a big $50 word, for a digital system to be put in place, so that the business of the world, whether you're buying or selling, will all be done online. And then there will be devices that they have out there already, and infrastructure that's already out there for you to swipe, or for you to scan this particular device. So they didn't have this in ancient Egypt. They didn't have this in ancient Sumeria. They didn't have this in ancient Babylon. They didn't have this in Neo-Babylon. They didn't have this in ancient Assyria. They didn't have this during the Neo-Assyrian Empire. They didn't have it during the Medo-Persian Empire. They didn't have it during the Greek Empire, and they surely didn't have it during the Roman Empire. They didn't have it during the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages. They didn't have it during the Renaissance. But it's happening now. So that's how we understand what the scriptures mean when it speaks about the MOTB, and that no man might buy or sell save he to have the MARK in his right hand or on his forehead. See, so that's how prophecies are fulfilled. So we're witnessing on the world stage right now everything that Yahushua was speaking about that would happen prior to the end of this age, which is the Roman Empire age. All right. The ancient Roman Empire fell, but it came back into power through America and her allies in the same fashion, just more modern times. Right. And now we're witnessing the downfall spiral of this place, by the prophecies that are being fulfilled. So then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Now the Lord is visiting it by how? Thunderstorms, storms, earthquakes, typhoons, tsunamis, and all of that. But he's also visiting it with his prophecies being fulfilled. This is why you have an amassing of troops over there in what's called the Middle East, in that region over there, the Levant, and all that area over there. This is the reason why you have the world going in the direction of a global digital currency. Here it is. You have nations that can't stand each other. They hate each other. They hate the West especially, but yet they're moving their economic basis to a digital functioning system. So really, how much do they hate each other? Because if you really hate somebody, you're not going to follow behind what they're doing. You're not going to agree to what they're doing. Because you could have your own economic basis among you and your alike. So by all these different nations, adopting a CBDC idea, that means that they're all in bed together. They just have the appearance of fighting against each other. That's called controlled opposition. So it says, then shall thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, and this is the point here, and uproars of the people in the world. So what would cause people to commit an uproar, or what is that called? Another word for uproar. Trying to think of this is other word. I can't think of it right now. But it's like, you have chaos in the streets, people coming against each other, fighting against each other. All right. For a particular purpose, whether it's against the government, whether it's against its officials, or whether it's against other nations of people. All right. Not just so much as protests, but it's an uproar, riots. There it goes. The word is riot. Riots. What's causing this? The dissatisfaction of people in the world with their established governments. And mostly it has to do with financial, but then it also has to do with, revolt is a good one too. Yeah. Mostly has to do with financial, but it also has to do with uprising is another good one. Yep. Riots. There you go. Riots. So those are all good. Revolt, uprise, riots. Sedition is another one. But sedition, if somebody's rioting for injustice, or let's say they're rioting because they can't stand a particular kind of people, nation, that's not sedition. Sedition is when you uprise against the government. All right. So these uproars, because these people are in a position to where they're doing bad. Like when you go back, what year was that? When you had Europe that was on fire, Greece, and and all those different riots that were going on because of the economic, woes, and so like I'm lack of words today. It was all throughout Europe. I forget what year that was, and they were rioting in the streets because their wages were being cut, or their wages weren't being compensated to be able to live in that society because they didn't have enough money. So these are all things that create this atmosphere. All right. So it says, then shalt thou well understand. So when you see part of the science, you look, okay, that's this, that, and the other. We understand. But then when you start seeing the uproars of the peoples and the earthquakes and all of these different violent situations taking place, it says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. You see, so these are signs to let us know that we're at the very end. It says, "For like as all that is made in the world have the beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and ending in effects and signs." And this is why the book of Revelation is written the way that it is. You know, the book of Revelation has been the most mysterious book on the planet because of the way that it was written. It seemed like many different stories with many different allegories, with many different, you know, mysteries. But really, when you get boiled down to you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, it's all the same prophecy, the same story, so to speak, just told different ways and different fashions. You know. So now that we're at the end, we're understanding the book of Revelation perfectly, and even these devils now are starting to say, "Yeah, well, that means America is Babylon the Great." We've been out there saying that for years, and everybody like looked at us that now you bugged out, you talk, you don't know what you're talking, you're talking crazy, you know. And you had people say that the dragon with the 7 heads and 10 horns, that was the Roman Catholic Church, because Alberto Rivera, which was he almost made it to be a Jesuit. He did 27 years, I believe it was. You have to do 32 years of training, hardcore training, in order to become a Jesuit. He made 27 years, and he saw all the corruption that was going on and he actually helped with that corruption. But then he had a change of heart, and he started going against him. And when he started reading Revelation, he said that the book of Revelation, that harlot, you know, that sat on, you know, on many waters and all that was talking about the Roman Catholic Church, the 7 heads and 10 horns. But that's not talking about the Roman Catholic Church. And how do we know that? Because when we go to the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter, it gives you a description of the influence that Babylon the Great will have on the planet. And that would be a what? A financial influence that would make the world rich, the merchants of the world. The merchants of the world did not become rich by trading or sending and selling their wares at the Vatican, you know, which is only so big. I forget how many square miles it is. You know, I think it's like 2.5 square miles or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. You know, so it's a very small place. So where did the nations of the earth and the merchants, the ship, especially the ones that trade by sea in ships, get their wealth from? They got it here from America. This is why you had that big scandal in the Panama Canal. You know, these devils did that fuck shit down there. You know, there's a documentary, Grease Riots of 2008. I believe I thought it was 2008 because that was hard. That was a hard year financially. But when you go, that was Noriega, that drug dealing, drug selling Noriega. Of course, we want him out. Inside joke. And that was back in 1992, if I'm not mistaken. You had the Panama Deception. You should still be able to get that on YouTube. That is a very good documentary to show you how much of a devil and how much deviltry this devil is willing to stoop down to in order to get his way. Because in I forget what year it was, the area of the Vatican City state is 44 square kilometers, or 0 point. I will have to find out like the mileage wise, because that's square miles. We have to find out mileage wise, you know what that is. But there was a charter that was signed by the U.S. and Panama dealing with the Panama Canal, and they dug the Panama Canal. They finally got it open, and I'm not sure, but I believe it was the year 2000 or 98, 99, somewhere around there, where the charter for the Panama Canal for the United States was going to be over with. So since That drug dealer Noriega, as they call him, I believe that was Noriega that was down there. They didn't want to renew the charter. That's why they had that whole um, destruction or devastation going on there with the indigenous people. You know, where they were shooting lasers. Yep, see, December 31st, 1999, which is the year 2000. The United States, in accordance with the Torrijos, yep, that was Torrijos cartel treaties, officially hands over control of the. I got to wait for it to go. The Panama Canal. Yep. Move Panamanians dictator General Manuel Antonio Noriega from power, right? Because they had a deal with Torrijos, and then eventually somehow I don't know if I forget if Torrijos started acting up, and then they got him out of there and put Noriega in power, and then Noriega started acting up, and they had to get rid of his ass. So it was the invasion was a response to Noriega's annulment of the general election, which appeared to have been by Guillermo Endres. Um, I got to wait for somebody to put another comment so I could scroll up. The invasion took place from December 20th, 1989 to January 31st, 1990. Yeah, but the Panama Canal, was up in the year 2000. So by the year 2000, they wouldn't have had access to the Panama Canal. And the Panama Canal is very important to Esau's, economic, economic welfare. And that's why they opened it to be able to go the from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean through Panama instead of having to go all the way around South America, which would have took a lot longer. So when they were in peril of losing it, what did they do? They created that devastation down there where they were cutting people down in cars and burning homes down with lasers, and pretty much that was a way for Esau to test out his laser weaponry, on the indigenous people that had nothing to do with it. That them devils, yeah, pineapple face, yeah, that dude was all fucked up. You got jokes, Elder. Micah 2:1. I want to read this to make that point. Woe to them that devise iniquity, and that's what they did. They devised a plan, which was iniquity or sin on top of sin on top of sin, to establish themselves still in that region, because that was a very lucrative region. Because whoever controls the Panama Canal controls pretty much the economies of the world, because people have to go through there back and forth, and they have to pay tolls and all of that, and whoever controls that controls a major portion, of the economic traffic of the world, because people have to go through there. Ships from every country have to go through there to get to the west coast, or to get to the east coast, or to get to the Gulf of Mexico. It says, and work evil upon their beds, right? Because they're constantly concocting these things. It says, when the morning is light, they practice it or put it into power or into use, because it is in the power of their hand, because they have the power. And remember, the scriptures say the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And they covered fields, just like they covered it, they covered fields just like they covered it, the Panama Canal, for what? To control that region. So what did they do? They created wars. They created, different propaganda scandals and lies against different dictators or rulers and their people in order to steal that land. It says, and they covered fields and take them by violence. See? So that's what they did. They took it by violence. It says, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage. See? And this is why people from Central America, South America have to flee their country to come to America to make a better life, because these devils have stole the resources. They'll go down there present the rulers with money, and present the rulers with an advance from the IMF or the World Bank. And then the collateral is what? The lands, the resources. And when they can't pay, they take over those lands and resources. And what they do is the money that they're giving that country to better the infrastructure of that country is then funneled back to U.S. corporations that are the ones that are doing the work in those different countries in order to facilitate these places to make that place successful. That was a very devious man. Never trust thine enemy. Okay, just bear with me 1 second. The Panama Canal is a crucial waterway that connects the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans through the Isthmus of Panama. Right, it must be my lucky day. Inside joke. It says it is one of the most important shipping routes in the world, significantly reducing the time and distance required for ships to travel between the two oceans. There you go. And who controls that? America. Why? Because America's Babylon the Great. They're controlling the traffic. So the merchants of the world are getting rich off of their wares that they sell here in America. So the world is not getting rich, and the merchants of the world are not getting rich from the Vatican. They're getting rich from their selling their goods here in America. So America is Babylon the Great. All right. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. So going back to 2nd Ezra's, let's go now to the 15th chapter, in the first verse. And that's why it says also in the book of Job, chapter 20. This is a beautiful chapter. Matter of fact, I'm going to read the first couple of verses and I'm going to jump down to the point. Job 20, verse 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short? Right, because they'll triumph for a while, and they'll triumph gloriously. They'll get paid from their misdeeds and from their their deceptions and from their robbing, raping, and pillaging different places. But it's short, because eventually they'll get judged. And you would think that we're in a time of such great information. Many great empires have been in the past. Many empires have come, many empires have gone, many empires have become wicked, many empires have been destroyed. And you would think that with all this information that Esau has, they would consider that the way that these different nations did their business and eventually were brought down, maybe we should do something different so that we won't get judged like they were judged. But these devils won't do it because they're programmed to do what they're doing. They have a demonic program that's embedded within their DNA and their spirit to do this, what they're doing. Because the Lord is setting them up and establishing them to bring judgment upon them, just like he did upon Egypt. He said he hardened Pharaoh's heart. Didn't Pharaoh want to let the people go at a certain point? But the Lord kept hardening his heart. Why? To build them up more and more and more and more, so that the Lord could lower the boom on his ass. Kaboom! Guess who stepped in the room? That the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. It says, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, which they have, you have the space shuttles, you have the space stations, you have your helicopters, your airplanes, fighter jets, and his head reach unto the clouds, which they did, and you could use this twofold. That's one way you could use it. Another way is their pride is lifted to the clouds. Yet he shall perish forever like his what? His own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? Right, because you have this great nation America. And when it's destroyed, they're going to be like, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. And this is one thing that Jake is going to be happy about once this devil goes down. Matter of fact, let me get one quick precept and then we'll jump back to that. Let's go to Psalms. I believe that's 126 and 1. When the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai turned again the captivity of Zion, meaning when he delivered us from captivity, we were like them that dreamed. See, like you woke up from a nightmare. You was in a nightmare. You was in a bad situation, a bad predicament, and you woke up and you said, "Oh man, it was just a dream." That's how this place is going to be or feel like once we get through this. Once we get through these days, and then the Lord's will delivers us, and then the laws will be inserted into our inward parts so that the second covenant could be fully fulfilled. Then was our mouth filled with laughter. See, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. And our tongue, that goes hand in hand with that. Psalms 149. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing loud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathens and punishments upon the wicked, upon the people. It says, in our tongue with singing, then said they among the heathen, the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai has done great things for them. For who? For the Israelites. Not for the heathens. The Lord hath done great things for us, whereof we are glad. Turn again our captivity, O Yahweh Shemel Shai, as the streams in the south. This is a good prayer to put up. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. Right. We're sowing in tears and we'll be reaping in joy. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. Right. And the sheaves, man, that's when we're going to be blessed. Plenty of blessings. All right. So back in Job chapter 20, verse 9, the eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place anymore behold him. Why? Because he's going to be taken out of power. His children shall seek to please the poor, and you see that now. You have Esau, trying to do things for Jake. Now, some of them are Jakes that look like Edomites, but some of these devils are trying to find a way to make amends. And the ones that are Jakes that look like that, then they're going to be all right. But the ones that are not, they're just going to go into captivity. And the hands and his hands shall restore their goods. See, this is when we're going to get full reparations. And there's a lot here, but I want to just jump to the main point. This is Job 20, verse. Right. I'll start at 19. 18. That which ye labor for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. So you stole everything. You're not gonna be able to enjoy it. Matter of fact, let me see what the word labored for here means. Your guy, earnings, gain, product of labor. Right. So gain by what? Pretty much by deception. That goes hand in hand with Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8. About goods gotten by deceit. That which he labor for shall he restore. That's restoration, reparations. And shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be. Here it is. You want some goddamn paper dollars. Here it is. We're about to inherit the whole planet and everything in it. And you want some goddamn, paper money that is being devalued by the day. And he shall not rejoice therein, because he is not going to be able to enjoy all of this that he's been amassing over the years. Oh yeah, you've lived deliciously, you live good, but you're going to lose it all, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he builded not. Right. These different countries he's going to, and America in general. Yep, both those chapters are fire. That's right. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. Why? Because what's the reason why people amass wealth? for them and what they call generational wealth. To be able to be established, to be able to have an economic basis, to be able to have your future set for yourself, for your children and future children in the future. But you're not going to feel quietness. Why? Because you're not going to be able to enjoy all of that because everything that you amassed over the years is going to be turned over to us. What is that scripture? Is that Proverbs 28? Let me see. There's another one. Let me see. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me see something. Here it goes. Ecclesiastes 5:13. There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. Right, because these riches don't belong to you. You stole these riches. That's why it says, matter of fact, let me get that, hold that on deck, and go back. Uh, these are old school script. We have to hold up. Let me blow the dust off of this one. Isaiah 33:1. Woe to thee that spoilest, meaning robbed, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. So this is what you got to look forward to, devil. Now, go from there to Proverbs 28 and and 8. He that by usury and unjust gain increases his substance, which Esau has. And the main thing that he did with usury was what? This Federal Reserve note that they pushed on the world. You see? So it says, he that by usury and unjust gain increases his substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor, because it's going to come right back to us. Because riches are never lost. They're just transferred from one hand to the other. All right. So going back to Job 20, verse 20, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desires. So you're saving this so-called nest egg, but you don't realize that you sinned against your soul. Leaving his soul, parting the waters of the medulla oblongata of mankind. Inside joke. Habakkuk 2:9. Woe to him that coveteth and evil coveteth to his house, which is what? To get riches by deceit, that he may set his nest on high. Right. Your nest on high meaning what? For your future. That he may be delivered from the power of evil. And that's because what is evil? Bad times, famines, all of that. So you want to have a hedge against that. And riches, scriptures say that riches, money is a defense, and money answereth all things. So by them accumulating their wealth, Salakia, eventually what that means is that they are hedged in for the future. But the Lord said that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people and hast sinned against thy soul. See? And for that you will be judged. You will be judged. So going back to Job 20 and 20, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. Why? Because this place is going to be destroyed, and the Lord is going to strip him of everything overnight in 1 hour. You got to think of it like this. Going all the way back to the mid 1300s into the 1400s, when this devil began his, Renaissance, mission, they've been stealing, robbing, raping, changing history and changing everything and gaining wealth and amassing wealth and just getting over on people, robbing people and becoming richer and stronger every day, building up their military for hundreds of years. And then all of a sudden, in 1 hour, all of that's gone. Up in smoke. Do you understand that these devils have been living good for hundreds of years? And to go from that to instant poverty, that's going to be a hell of a shock. That's going to be a shock and awe moment if they ever seen one. Now it says, Job 20 and 22, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, meaning in a position of difficulty. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And when you look up this word wicked, it goes into the word aimal, which means laborers, sufferer, wretched one. So a laborer. So every hand of the laborer is going to be against you. Why? Because you robbed them of their riches. That's what we were reading in Micah, the 2nd chapter. And also here, we were reading in Job 20, but in Micah, the 2nd chapter, right? We were reading in the 2nd verse, and they covered fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away, so that they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. And the Lord said that he was against those that oppress the hireling in their wages. Malachi 3 and 5, and I will come near to you to judgment. You will be judged. The rich of the world. Matter of fact, that's another one. Let me get James chapter 5. Right? It says, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and Esau is full of sorcery, and against the adulterers, and they are adulterers, and they condone that behavior, and against false swearers, which they are. They make you swearing in the Bible, in the courts. Even though now they'll just say you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. What are you swearing by? Because they got in there, in God we trust, even though we know what God they're talking about. And against those that what? Oppress the hireling in his wages, right? Because you could oppress somebody physically by physically beating them down, or you can oppress somebody financially by putting him into debt because of your wicked system that is set up. And you know better. Because these small hats that claim to be the people of the Lord, right? They claim to be the people of the Lord, so they know the Torah. They know what the scriptures say about usury, which is interest, So they have no excuse because they know not to oppress the hireling in his wages. What is that? Is that, I believe that's Leviticus 19. And 13, thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning, right? Because you were supposed to pay someone by the day. Now Esau makes you wait a week or even 2 weeks, those that get paid bi-weekly. So that's wickedness. And then the wages that they're paying them with, they're taxing the hell out of them. And wages are not taxable. What is taxable is income. Income is money gained from capital invested. Wages are money paid for services rendered. Okay. Um, so you're not supposed to keep the wages overnight. And when you charge people or take taxes out of people's wages, you're being wicked. So that's why these people have a issue with you. So the Lord said he will oppress the hireling in his wages. And we read that in Job, the 20th chapter, right? And 20 and 22, in the fullness of his efficiency he shall be in straits, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And this is one of the things out of many that's causing these uproars and these riots, financial. And you've seen back in 2008, the financial uproars of the people worldwide, all, clamoring for the same thing: unfair wages, unfair, taxation. And there's these feudal systems that have been set up in place to rob the people, of their wealth, so to speak. So let's go to James 5, because the word Imal means laborer. The word wicked, which translates to Imal in that particular scripture, because the word for wicked is normally Rai, which means evil. But let me just double check on that, because I know evil is Rai. Let me just double check on wicked, make sure. Yeah, Rai. Hey, Shalom, D-Man, Shabbat. Oh, okay. I'm telling him I'm gonna leave the door open because I'm live right now. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, Shalom. Okay, so right, wicked. I just wanted to make sure, double check, because I want to make sure that I ain't giving you something that ain't there. So wicked is right, but when you go to that particular scripture in Job chapter 20, the word for wicked there is Imal, which means a laborer. James 5:1, go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. So they're going to have to weep and howl for the miseries that's going to come upon them. Why? Your riches are corrupted. How are they corrupted? The way that you got them. And your garments are moth-eaten. So pretty much you're just wicked, period, rotten to the core. Yeah, it says your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. And we see the witness against them how? By the people of the world that are in a mourning state, coming against this devil because of the hardships that they're enduring, because they've been working all their life as they were told to do. You work hard, you get what if you put in the work, you work hard, you'll be successful. And they're seeing that that's all bullshit, because the people that don't work hard are the ones that's getting paid the most. The ones that are conniving and lying and stealing everything, they're prospering. But then the ones that are following and abiding by the rules, they're getting the shaft. It says, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire, because your whole society, beginning with the capital of your world, America, is going to be destroyed. The land of Israel will be destroyed completely. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. And how did they do that? By thieving, robbing. They didn't become rich because of benevolent dealings, hard work, or inherited wealth that they inherited, righteously from their forefathers. They've been robbing and ripping off the planet for ages. Behold, the hire of the laborer, see, who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. See, because you give them, you give them a so-called wage, which is not really a wage. Then you tax them, state tax, federal tax, and all these different Social Security, all these different things you taking out of their check, which is money that they can use You're taking it out of their check. It says, crieth, right? And people are crying, they're mourning because the wicked are in power. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, or the Lord of hosts, the Lord of the armies. And he's going to deal with you. Now, let's look up this word laborers real quick. Let's see what it says for laborers. Ergates, a workman, a laborer, which we just read in this is the Greek ergates, or ergon, right, is the Greek equivalent of the Hebrew word imal, which means laborer. Usually one who works for hire. See, especially an agricultural worker, one who does a worker perpetrator. So a worker, or one who does. See, these are laborers. A toiler, which is a worker, figuratively a teacher, laborer, worker. See, so whatever profession that you're in. So these laborers or workers in the fields, whatever field they're in, they're crying because the wages that they're getting are not sufficient, because the wages that they're giving them are pretty much fraud labor wages. You have back in James 5:5, you have lived in pleasure on the earth. You are fared sumptuously every day, the rich man and Lazarus, which is a parable, and been wanton. You've been undisciplined. You have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter, right? Because you have more than heart could wish. You don't go hungry. You don't starve. It says you have condemned and killed the just, which are the Israelites, and he does not resist you. Why? Because we don't have the power to do anything about it. The only power we have is to pray to the Lord Yahweh Bashem El Shai for a swift, deliverance and vengeance upon our enemies. You see? That's the only power that we have. We have no other power than that. So when you see these different lies going up about these different migrants and things that they're doing, that's just a divide and conquer tactic used by these devils to take the focus of the people on the real serious pressing issues. You see? And that's why you have all this entertainment and all these, Emmys and Grammys and all this other bullshit that comes out, these different games and, boxing matches, MMA and all that, because it's the bread and circuses keep the people's attention away from what's really going on behind the scenes. That's why when you see a lot of different shit going on, these different celebrities, you got to wonder what's really going on the world scene, that they're using these things to divert people's attention from the real issues. You see? The third attempt on Donald Trump's life. So come on, man. This shit is getting old. They're getting sloppy. They're not even doing a good job anymore on these reports. You see? And that's what they're doing. It's a divide and conquer tactic to cause the people to have problems with each other, to go at each other, to take their focus off of the real problem, which are the international bankers who are using the governments of this world that officiate or pass legislation that benefit the large corporations and not benefit the people of their society. Because the large corporations are lining the pockets of these politicians, beginning with the presidents, vice presidents, all the way down. They're all in the pockets. You can't buy a politician today because they're already bought and paid for, as Eustace Mullins used to say. You see? Yeah, man. So you got a lot going on in this world, and I suggest you watch this priest Zakar's video. GMS until the elect is sealed. Your defamation campaign will not end for you, E. I believe he meant to say not end well for you. Those of you that haven't subscribe. And I want to say this, man. This brother here, as well as other brothers, they do very good videos. Him You know, the priest Sabak and the elder Mawatazak, they do very beautiful, great videos, but they only get like 24 views. The elder Mawatazak might get 50, 60, 70 views, 100 views. They should be getting a lot more views for the content, you know, the spiritual insight that they give to our brothers and sisters out there. They should have a whole lot more subscribers and a whole lot more views on these videos, man. And this brother goes live every morning or premieres every morning. You know, he does very good videos. So I suggest you brothers and sisters that are not subscribe to this man's channel, subscribe to his channel and be edified. I put this particular video in the description box. So all you gotta do is just click on it and go to it and subscribe and stay edified. So yeah, so you know, when he did this video, it gave me that, you know, that drive. You know, I was looking for a lesson. I didn't have a lesson. So sometimes I might listen to videos, or sometimes I just throw on some music or some, you know, something, you know, to kind of keep my mind occupied for a moment till the Spirit gives me a lesson. And Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Al Shai for that. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.